Hi there, welcome. Thank you, our loyal friends and subscribers. Thank you to my lovely wife, always recording. This is our friend, Mr. Div's engine. Finally back from engineering. Now comes my bit. First things first, I don't just assemble engine. We're going to check the clearances on the mains and the big ends and the crankshaft before we just assemble or pack this engine. Ways I normally check them, I normally inside the door or the ball vertically on the lines. I check them, and then I normally also, after I measure this, check there. So let me quickly, okay, then what I do is I write them down, like you can see there. Perfect fit. Okay, rear main is 62 point 55, 67, 58, 59, 59. Right, keep this in mind, and now I'm going to work my way all the way to the front. Each one I must torque into place to get the exact measurement. Let me also just measure vertically. So vertically we out, that's a 58, so we're out 1,000. That's not bad. Let's continue to the next bearing cap, torque it down and check it, and then we'll end up going through the crankshaft and check it, because the ideal clearances we want is a 240 to 250 clearances on the mains. Right, that will be number 4, that bearing cap. Sixty-two point. You write it down. Number 4, main, 62 point. Okay, 54. So that's 4 thousandths of an inch. It's not bad yet. Continue to the next one. All right, let's quickly check the size on the crankshaft. 62.24. Okay, 62.24. That seems correct. Let me mark the next one. We'll turn it and come back. Okay, 62.20. All right, 62.20. Perfect. 62.20. Right. Double check. Now let me turn them so I can get to the first 90 to see if there's no journal that's egg shaped. 62.20. Just make loose. Yeah. 62.20. 62.20. Just a quick flyby pass. Yes, yes. So all the rod journals seem the same size. Now comes the math and the calculation. 62 and 62 will cancel each other out. 59 and 24. Let me quickly calculate in my head. Alright, it's going to be a bit tight. I mean, we at right across the board 150 thousandths clearance on the mains, which is a bit tight for a small block. But you know what? After I started it and ran it in, it should sort that clearances out as well. The first 1,000 kilometers are going to have to be gentle on this motor. We'll check just now the rod ends and start installing the pistons and rods. But let me carry on with this quickly and install the crankshaft at least and a rear main seal. Alright, where's my assembly loop? Like you can see, I already installed the camshaft and looped it up with assembly loop. Just put some assembly loop with high zinc content mixed into it on the bearing surfaces as well, so it can cling to the parts. And then I can get the rear main seal in quickly and go from there. The rear main seal I'll install with orientation in mind, having a bit of a lip like that, and then I'll put some grease so it doesn't burn on startup. Also, keep in mind your lip, the way it sits, must always point towards the crankshaft flange. Right, you drop this bad boy in there and take it from there. The safest place for this to be is inside the block, actually. It's nice and clean still, yes. There we go. Seems to be spinning freely. Then comes the trick bit. The rear main seal, we're gonna have to put some sealer because it's a half seal. Just on the ends, just on the dabs on the ends. I'm just looping up the crankshaft as much as I can. Because the thing is, I don't want to be turning this thing, installing the pistons, and there's no oil in it. Loop it up nicely. But before I come to the rear main also, let me just start installing the bearings. I normally work from center outwards on a block, as your most stresses are on the center, especially around number 5 or number 6 piston. Right, now what I'll do is I'll back off on my torque wrench and I'll just torque it lightly for now, because I don't want to pull the block also. And when all of them are in, and gradually I'll end up torquing it to spec. Also, another thing I'll be doing, I'll let it probably sit about 5-6 hours, and I'll torque it again for bolt stretch. What you haven't noticed is I actually wet the bolt threads as well. I'll show you now when I install them. Just rock this crank. Yeah, it feels like it's alright still. Just check now, it's just bubbles. Some assembly lube on the threads, because a wet bolt torques correct where a dry bolt doesn't torque correct at all. Keep that in mind. Like I said, not full torque, just torque about half of the torque settings, just so we can get it all to sit flush, sit nicely. Gonna have to do something I don't like, spin it over so I can do this cap. Also make 100% sure of your numbering on your caps and the arrow pointing forward, like you can see there, number 2 and the arrow. Right, now comes number 1, the rear main. I'll do last, because I have to set it as well for the thrust. Okay, now comes the fun one. Do that, get the rear main. Right, like you can see, I just put a small dab of sealer on the hinge and our graphite grease on the seal, so we can just have some lube on the seal when we fire this beast up. So we got some sealer on the tips and some grease, so we don't burn the seal when we fire it up, and the seal ends can just seal together. Because you know this thing is the small block Chevy and a half seal, they normally tend to leak there. That is actually the cure for that. Start torquing this down. Okay, now let me go to the last stage of torquing. +98 +6, there we go. Now you notice me going from the inside out. Man, this is going to be a nice engine for our friend. He's going to put it in one nice rat rod for us. Actually, let me just slack off a bit there before I torque it all the way. Take a mallet. Just set the end. Okay, now I can torque it all the way, because I lined the rear cap up. Let me start again, just double check my work. It's always a good thing to double check your work when you torque engines. Now let's make sure the crankshaft still spins perfectly. Perfectly. The end play I'll measure. Easiest way for a guy at home to do it is to put the filler gauge in the end play here. Actually in the front, right in there. But we're not going to do that. I normally have a dial gauge I'll quickly check it with. Alright, let me quickly show you guys something. Also, when assembling a V8, remember your pin is offset. Like you can see, there's less space there than there's there because of the power stroke on these motors and longevity. So normally, to look at your bevel and to look at the mark of the piston shows the firing in the front. So meaning, 4 should face the one way and 4 should face the other way. Because remember, your bevel of your crank there should run against the flange there, and the other corner the other way around. Let me quickly measure these and see if they're okay. Same thing we did to the block. We're going to measure to the bearings inside the piston and write them down. Piston number 1, .28. 3.28. Let me quickly do all of that because you saw that already, and I'll get back to you on that. Alright, now that we've got all our conrods sizes on the big ends, let's quickly mark our crankshaft. Okay, that seems okay. It's 53.39. Let's lock it and check if all of them are uniform as well, because the crank has been ground. That seems perfect. Seems perfect. Just back a bit. That seems perfect. All right. 53.40. 53.40. Right. Just double check my size here again. 53.40. Yeah, okay. Quite. Okay, now let's quickly check. We must file fit rings, the end gaps, but this is pretty much standard stuff. Grab a piston, just push it down in the sleeve a bit, making sure it's center. Actually, let's go a bit more. That should be center. Okay. Good. Okay, now just check the size gap. 50 is a bit small because that's in millimeters. So 50 is 12 thousandths of an inch, which is very, very tight. We're going to have to file fit them rings. I'd prefer it at 50, which should be 20 thousandths of an inch. Like you can see, gotta have to file fit these rings quickly. Just making sure my journals are clean. Toilet paper picks up most debris and cleans it nicely. Okay, so now first things first, after file fitting our rings, we basically want it like a Mercedes badge. 1, 2, and 3. Like you can see, 3, 1, 2, 3 points. Then we put a piece of cutting torch hose over because we don't want to nick that crankshaft. I mean, my friend Henny at Benedictus Engineering will cry. My client will cry if we nick that crankshaft with these. That's what it's for. Now we've got a point that's showing to the front. Our bevel is showing to the flange. Perfect for this side for number 2. Right. Let me quickly start knocking this together. I'm going to do 1 or 2 pistons so you can see. Good pause. Get my piston and rod in the block so I can just tighten this squeeze up level, this ring squeeze. You see, making sure it's level. Compress the rings nicely for us. Okay, I'll just give it a bit of a tap just to make sure our rings are seated. Don't want to break a ring installing them. Alright, it's level, that's square. Right, let me start driving the piston in. I normally use the back side of a hammer. So I don't damage anything. Just filled my rod ends so I can catch it at the bottom. There we go. Now I can turn it over, pull the rod through and torque it to spec. Right, let's do that. And I'll clean that again. Like I told you, good insurance having that so you don't damage it. Okay, let me make sure 100% clean first. I want this thing perfectly clean. Then let me put a dab of oil. There we go. Cleanliness is so I don't pick up debris in the bearing surfaces. And yeah, picking up the debris is an early way to destroy this after all the work done. Drive it home. Put the end cap on so we can call it there. Lot easier this way around than nicking the crankshaft. Alright, let me just clean that up again. You'll see me constantly cleaning. Like I say, I don't want to take any chances or have any debris on that surface. Right, then keep to keep, you see the keep to the keep. And that's how simple it is to install the pistons. Let me start pulling it gradually. Get all the slack off. And then we'll torque it to spec. That's still set. See me doing both sides simultaneously if I can to pull it square. and double check that. Okay, perfect. Let's go for piston number 2, because this number 1, it's against the throw. Now it's number 2. You'll see me putting each ring and each ball and file fitting for each ball. Like you can see, this is even tighter than that side was, because remember, they machine the block close to spec and then they hone it out for the piston sizes. So let me quickly file fit these rings. Like you can see, there's almost no gap. The thing you'll also always see me do is check if the rings can move freely in a piston after being file fit, and the gaps are right, like you can see there with the piston being an aftermarket ring. I know, I'll put the oil rings just now. There we go, like you see. And like I said, the Mercedes badge. Then I can install this one. Also, you'll see our spacer has an opening, so I normally tend to bypass that opening by a mount. I don't put the gap of this on the gap of that opening. There we go. Okay, do this and install this piston and rod. Get the small block sub-assembly together. There we go. Like you'll see, the keep to the keep, and on the crank, because this is number 2, this has to go to the flange, like you can see. Like I explained to you, the offset of the piston. That's all to do with engine running and side thrust as well. Because if the pistons are wrong, it will also cause a heck of a lot of side thrust to the wall. Alright. Just do this quickly. See how my rings are. I don't want to damage them. I'll invest in one of those American ring squeezers. Alright, like you can see now, our short block is together. All the pistons facing in the direction they should face, even on this side. Like I say, it all works with the power stroke and a thrust. If you've got your piston the wrong way around, so it moves the offset of the pin and it will damage the ball. You know, it will actually eat it more and it will actually have more side thrust because of that. Alright, now that we've got all this together, the camshaft is a standard camshaft unit, so it's a straight install with standard sprockets and gears. The lifters are from Camshaft for flat tappet. What I did is I let it just sit a bit in the FD compound, so it can have zinc on it. And now we can fit it. I just want to see how deep this goes. The oil holes seems, yeah, it should line up. I should actually turn it around also just to make sure. Like you can see, this FD compound, pretty sticky stuff. It's a good engine assembly loop. And then when we pour oil as well, we want to hit all these lifters when the sump is up or on. All right, let me fit the cylinder head. Like you can see, cylinder head's been nicely machined, everything 100%. All the valves been replaced, been pressure tested, everything at the block as well. There we go. Alright, let me start by putting oil on our threads, just making sure it's clean, and start installing our bolts. This is just now to secure it. Here we go. Alright, let me just adjust my torque wrench. Torque the cylinder head on here. It's actually 88. Right. Let's put it there. Right. Let's quickly torque the cylinder head down. Start in the middle. Work our way out. I'm not going to torque it all the way down right now. I'm just going to nip it so the whole head can lay flush and compress the cylinder head gasket first. Then we'll start torquing it. The reason why I gave the bolts liquid on the threads, oil on the threads, is so that they can torque right to the right spec. If you don't put oil on your threads, it's a dry thread and it doesn't torque the way it needs to be torqued. I'm just gradually tightening it, like you can see, just to compress the cylinder head gasket. Not torquing it at all now. We'll start torquing it when all the bolts are down. Also, you'll notice my push rods, nice and clean, and inside blown right through the compressor to get all the debris out, as we don't want debris in the engine as well. I'll start the torque sequence just now. I might as well do that. See, with a bit of oil, how easy these bolts enter. That's what you want. Now we can torque it correctly to spec. You just tie it a bit. Not torquing it yet. Now let's start on our sequence. Then I just double check, because remember now the gasket is compressed. And that's the sequence they always try to teach you when they sell the head gaskets to you that I'm using now. Alright, now I'm dropping our push rods. Just put some FT compound on it, because it's gonna be the startup that's gonna kill them most probably. Like you can see, just a dab on the ends. Right. Then comes the rockers. Let me show you guys how I adjust rockers on these things. Right. We did acquire new rockers for this build. Like you can see. Let me just put some FD lube on that. And that's it. Then now just the nut can come up. Right. Let me quickly just do that. Put some FD compound to lube our swivel in our rockers, and then I can start putting our nuts. Right. Before I end this video, let me quickly show you how I normally set the tappets on these motors. While the intake is off, right, this is going to be your easiest. Number one, both valves are closed because it's firing on number one. Because our timing mark is at 12 o'clock and our other timing mark also at 12 o'clock. That's also the position you want to install your distributor to fire on number one. Then both valves are closed. Just turn our lock nuts in until we see there's no more play or lash. You see, we still have a lot of play and lash. But anyway, let me get down to basics on them. Right. And just give you the best starting point when I get there. Like you can see inside the lifter ball, if you don't have the intake, you can actually gauge it and not press it all the way down because you don't feel it accurately. Right. A little bit more. Right, that's zero lash. Then I take my ratchet or my power bar and just half a turn. And that should be sufficient on startup. Let me continue assembling this engine. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully I started next time. Peace out.